Right, hello everybody, welcome to the Wednesday Bike Club. And you join me from, I'm in the garage with my mess of bags. Well, that's Karen's mess bike and my other two in the back here. So, first off, we need to do the draw for the winners of the heated gloves and the 40% discount, second place. So, obviously, I used the wonders of Milo for his input into this because he was one who needed to pick the winners. So what we did, we had the little pot of magic with all the correct answers in there. So the correct answer was Enkila Lodge, for those of you who wanted to know. And that was in the Agafay Desert. And so yes, I traipsed across the desert on the Honda CB 500X, the African 500 to get there. So over to you, Milo.
Okay, Michael. Oh, yeah, I want this one. This one's the one I want. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Hang on. No. Yeah. Let me sniff. Yeah. That's the puppy. Yeah, that's the one I want.
Drum roll, please. Mr. T. Shearman. So, Mr. Shearman, I will be emailing you and with the details. So, they're going to send the gloves direct to you from the manufacturer. So they're not coming from me; they're coming direct to you from them. So I would allow a couple of weeks for them to turn up because it might take a little while because the connection between me and them and all the rest of it. So, but they will turn up, and please let me know when they turn up and send me a picture maybe. So, congratulations to Mr. Shearman. And the second place is going to go to.
What the hell are you doing, man? Just leave him alone. I do it. Yeah, I got that one there. That one. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, yes, good. Oh, lovely.
And it's Jed Elton. So I've met Jed actually, so that's great. So we met up at Box Hill, I think it was at the Freddie Dobbs when he did the reveal of the Harley that he had designed. So great, nice. I hope you like that, Jed. So yeah, you get 40% off. I'll send you the code. Anything from Saviour. So thanks again to Saviour for sending me that. So or allow me to do that rather. It's very kind of them, and I'll probably try and do some more in the future. I'll maybe I did think about this earlier. Maybe someone could win all the crap in my shed. Just send it to her to skip. No, I'll think of something else to do, and I've got a few bits of kit that I don't really use, and they were things like some of the camera systems and all the rest of it that I don't have. So maybe I'll recover those and I'll get those sent out. But we'll look at that in the future. Right, back to the Wednesday Bike Club. So we've just come back from Croatia, as you know, and we had a fantastic week there. Weather was changeable, so we had thunderstorms and everything, but it didn't spoil it at all. But it just made it a bit more interesting, I suppose. And we had a day in Venice as well. We took a boat across to Venice. Which was the catamaran. I don't know if anyone's ever been on catamarans like that, but they used to be called the vomit comets when I used to go and went to Ireland. And that was very much nearly the case on the way back because it's incredibly choppy on the way back. And there were a couple of moments when I thought, oh, this is going to end well. But what it got me thinking was, particularly in Venice, and Croatia is a great place to visit, so I'd highly recommend it. Slightly out of season is better. It's much cheaper to get there, and it's fun for where we were in a place called Pula. It was superb, and the architecture, and there's a lot of Roman stuff there, and there's a phenomenal amphitheatre, which is so well worth visiting, and there's Augustus's temple and stuff like that. It's a phenomenal place, so I can highly recommend Croatia. But you're thinking, where the hell was this going, Paul? But when we went to Venice, and it made me really think, when people go to Venice, they tend to, certainly in tours and stuff, they always end up at St Mark's Square, which is where the main bit of the Doge building is and all the rest of it, and the Doge's palace and stuff. And it is a phenomenal place. But do you know what? Everybody piles in there. And even though we were out of season, there were just thousands and throngs of people there. And it made me think about motorbikers and all the rest of it. sort of think that that's not where we wanted to be. Do you know what I mean? And Karen being a biker as well, we were there, and the first thing we wanted to do was to get out of there and get off the beaten track slightly. And you know what? Going off in a couple of streets away, it all went quiet. And it made me realise that rather than be in the sort of throngs of all those thousands of people, that it's a bit like motorbiking, is that when you're a motorbiker, there's always that sense of wonder and that what's in the next valley, and the bike gives you that phenomenal opportunity. It's one of those rare things that allows you to just disappear off and go your own way. Don't go with the crowd, you know. And that's exactly what we both wanted to do. And we saw quite a few motorbikes when we were out, and we really would have loved to have hired a bike, you know. We both think, oh God, wouldn't it be lovely to hire a bike and just go off the beaten track a little bit, be your own master. Do you remember I said about this a little while ago about being the master of your own destiny, the reason why we ride? And I think that's the essence, isn't it? Why we ride motorbikes as people is because we have that real sort of wanderlust, that sense of wanting to get out and be somewhere else, away from the crowd, you know. And it is fine to. I like observing the human race, and I'm one of those people that likes to sit in a cafe and just watch the world go by, and we did that a few times. But there's something about I think there's a real connection between why we like to ride motorbikes and why we want some deep down that we want to be away from the crowds. We just want to be the pathfinders. We like to be, you know, on the journey and looking into the next valley. And I think when you're in that sort of situation, you see that in front of you. And I think if you're a bike rider, I think we're so similar, the reasons why we ride the bike, and it gets down to the real essence of why we ride bikes, isn't it? It's about being separate from the crowd and having that ability to just flick a switch, fire up and disappear off onto the horizon where nobody else is going. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's that I've got the ability to do that and no one can stop me. And the amount of times we didn't see a huge amount of bikes, to be honest with you. We saw a fair few, but not a lot. And we saw bikes from there. You sometimes find odd groups there. And there was, I seen in one group, we were in a place called Ravine, or Ravine. The Croatian language is very difficult to master. I was quite interested. It's none of it makes any sense. It's not like French or Spanish or Italian where you can sort of work out what the word means. And the Croatian language is very difficult, I found. I think I'd struggle there. But we did see bikes. I saw one bike from the UK. We saw a few from the Netherlands. Where did we see? I think we saw the odd German bike and stuff. But people sort of travel reasonable distances. But I envied them their ability to just leave that cafe, get on and ride and carry on, and go wherever they wanted. And even the mopeds, you say, oh God, wouldn't it be great just to get on? And that's one of the first things we do wherever we go. We always think, oh, can we hire a bike? Can we hire a bike? And it feels sort of disingenuous to think that you want to get away from the crowd, but I think it's that. Maybe it's the try to find your escape route, and a motorbike is the greatest thing, the great escape. It's sort of the greatest escape machine, isn't it? Because you can go down those little alleys that no one else can go down, and you don't take up any space. I remember seeing when we were there was a big GS, and someone had parked it in sort of like a central reservation. I don't know whether that was a security, but it wasn't affecting anybody because of its size. I know the GS is big, but it wasn't in the way. It wasn't in the way, and I think that's the thing with this. When you got a car, and we get a situation where cars are getting bigger and bigger, is that with a motorbike you can find a little corner, You don't interfere with anybody. You put yourself in a little corner. You can plug your bike away, lock it up, and leave it. And I think that's the other attraction, isn't it? You know, I know you can't take vehicles into Venice, but when you're in those sort of like those little beautiful little places, you can hide away a little bit and sort of protect your area, can't you? I know it sounds a bit funny, but I think that's the joy, isn't it, of motorbikes? And I I really got that sense when we walked into St Mark's Square at the end of the day, end of the tour, and it was absolutely jam packed. And it brings me on to this thing about Venice in particular. I've been to Venice before many years ago, and it wasn't nowhere near as packed as that. And you know, Venice is sinking, isn't it? And it really is sinking. We were talking to some people, and you know, they have to work really hard to keep the buildings above water. And there will come a point, well, they'll probably have to abandon it. But the amount of people that travel there every year, and we're out of season during the summer, it must be absolutely awful to get around in Venice. Real nightmare, because there's so many people. They've started to restrict the tours. They did have cruise ships coming into Venice, I think, and they've now made them. They've now got to be way offshore because it's damaging, putting waves, and it's damaging the lagoon and all the rest of it, and it's causing major problems. And that's happened in the last few years, I think. But when you go into places like St Mark's Square, you can feel the sort of detritus. Do you know what I mean? Like human detritus. It's not the rubbish. It's the funk that people bring with them, isn't it? I don't know. It's really difficult to say. Like as if the buildings are coated in just people's funk. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's being swamped in it, and it's really strange. Felt quite oppressive in the square, and it's also very much, you know, if you took the tourists away from Venice now, it would die. I think it would absolutely die, and that's such a shame, because Venice is an extraordinary place, absolutely extraordinary place. But coming back into Croatia, you know, the wide open spaces and the roads are beautiful. We went into Slovenia, we went to Lake Bled, and beautiful roads, absolutely beautiful roads. And you know, I can imagine the pleasure in riding those sort of places, and you know, going off to campsites and all the rest of it. There's plenty of hotels around. Fuel was quite cheap compared to anywhere else. I think, particularly in Croatia, I think they were looking about €1.65 for petrol. Diesel was a little bit cheaper, I suppose, but yeah, it's quite surprising actually. The cost of living in places like Croatia is obviously much less than it is here. But I don't know about buying vehicles and stuff. There were a couple of bike dealers that we did see, and there were places to hire mopeds, and for sort of like £30 a day. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I just had this thing about you. Maybe that's the essence, is that we could go to these places, and it's not necessarily that if we haven't even got a motorbike, we want to be away from the crowds. We want to find our own little path. And I think when you do that in places like Venice, is that you see more of what Venice is really like, rather than just, you know, going into central London and walking around with the hordes. You don't have that. So yeah, maybe that's it. That's maybe why we ride, because we don't like the crowd. We don't want to be in the crowds. You know, that's for certain times. Otherwise, we've got our little escape mechanism, and motorcycles do that, don't they? Really, for us. Again, I've said this before. It's like you know, being the cowboy. You got your horse, you saddle up and just ride off, and you go off into the distance. And motorbikes do that. But yeah, I thought I sort of come back while it was still in my mind about that, when I was thinking about that while we were away. Is that feeling that slight envious thing when you see some of the touring bikes go past? Think, oh, that'd be nice. I wish I could be like that. You know, I could have that, rather than be sort of stuck on buses and tours, you know, with hundreds of other people. You know, be slightly separate. But there you are. Right, I'll leave it there. It's a fairly short one today. But I've got my I'm bringing my Kawasaki back this week. The Harley's going to go back into storage for a little while. while I start doing the Kawasaki. So I'm going to be getting on with that probably this weekend, and getting the grinder out and all that sort of stuff. I really want to get onto that. I want to get it finished. So I've got something else to ride. So I'm going to keep my powder dry with the new bike yet. So I've still got the Meteor here. It's sitting over there, but I'll that should be going possibly Friday, certainly maybe over the weekend. So yeah, and that'll leave me a little bit more space, and I won't need to put the other bike into storage to save a bit of space. But yeah, angle grinder coming out this weekend. But there you are. So I hope you've had a good week. The wet weather's come. That's why I'm in here today. I was going to pop out down to Wisborough Green, but the rain has come, and you probably heard that on the microphone. But yeah, look after yourselves. So the two winners, Mr. Shearman and Jed, I'll be emailing you with the details. And thanks for entering. And looking at those videos again. There was some of the emails said, "Oh, I spent hours and hours trawling through your videos, but really enjoyed it." And that was the idea, actually, is just to get people just to watch those videos and maybe get a bit of enjoyment out of it. Right. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Milo, for picking up the
You're welcome.
picking up the winners. And I will see you on Saturday. Interesting video Saturday. The BMW one, 3 for the price of 1. You might enjoy that. Right. See you soon. Take care.